Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Good day, all of you out there following us on Leadership Podcast. You're welcome to another edition of Energy Focus. This being Money Radio, we discuss energy today, and the issue we're discussing is persistent rise in price of gas, the marketer's perspective. Yes, over the past few months, we've been seeing a persistent rise in price of gas. I remember just a few months ago, we were buying that commodity somewhere around 3,500, 4,000. Today is around 7,000 naira for at least a 12.5 kilogram of gas. So we're discussing the issue today. I'm your host, Case Hammond, and in the studio with me today is Antino Uko. You're welcome.
Good to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, we've been having persistent rise in the price of gas. You're a lady, I assume you are in the department in the house where gas is mostly needed. Gas, no, we're not talking about heating gas, we're talking about cooking gas here. Yeah. And that must have a pinch on you and on your budget. So you are you are the right person, and that means our listeners are in good company when they hear from you what is going on and how it's pinching people. Then we'll discuss the blame game and how we can get over this malaise. So, Unsa, what is happening and how is it pinching you?
It's really a very it's a situation that I can't even find the right words for, because it's like we being Nigerians being in the river, but soap is getting into our eyes.
Yeah,
we have a large gas reserve, and one begins to wonder how we happen to find ourselves in such a situation whereby we cannot guarantee consumption of the product that we have so much reserve for. In the last few months, it's been tough. You can imagine having to close to double the budget for gas, for cooking gas. And when you lay this beside the fact that every other thing, the prices of every other food item has more or less almost doubled, you can imagine what that means for the average family.
it's a critical issue.
It's a critical issue. Let's look at it from the point of the minimum wage earner coughing out as much as 23.3% of his or her monthly income to pay for gas. Then how at 7,000 in some parts, and in other parts of the country it's even higher than that, then how do you think that minimum income earner will be able to provide food, provide transportation, and then make provision for health care and then other exigencies? It's really pinching very hard on Nigerians.
So why is the price of gas soaring in the country? I asked the question because there seems to be some sort of blame game between marketers and producers. What's going on?
Like you said, we've seen the blame game. Recently, a few days ago, on Tuesday precisely, the Nigerian NLG came up to say that last year they put up 450,000 metric tons of gas, cooking gas, LPG, to be taken by marketers in the country, and that the marketers were not able to get all of this to take up everything.
I don't understand. Are you saying the storage capacity is low? What do they mean?
That is exactly why it's rather unfortunate that for some technical reasons, guest was not able to join us, it would have been very good for us to have a marketer's perspective in this situation, because the ball, the everything seemed to have, the bulk has been passed on to them, that the marketers are responsible for not supplying enough.
Yeah,
So
you're talking
I
about
don't,
wholesale marketers or end distributors.
whether it's the end, of course it is the wholesale marketers that will first of all take it from NLNG before the retail marketers will buy from them. So at the end of the day, the bulk is still in the court of marketers to defend themselves, whether what the regulatory authorities and NLNG, which is responsible for the production and the export of gas in the country, the NLNG is has emphasized that despite that it being primarily an export company, but it is prioritizing the needs of the local consumption, which means me, I, and you, the end users of gas. But that is not guaranteeing supply. Even also a few days earlier, the executive secretary of PPPRA also came up to say that the supply of gas went down by 20% in the month of August. And the bulk of this, out of the 264 metric tons of gas that was supplied into the Nigerian system last month, about 43% of this was supplied locally.
Okay.
So I don't get that correlation where NLNG said they supplied about 80% of what is needed, and the marketers said they are not having enough. Yet, out of what was supplied for last month, 55% of it was imported.
To tell you the truth, I have my suspicion, and my suspicion is on the NLNG. And I would like to hint here that this is my personal opinion, but this is my personal opinion, which is my suspicion, is strong. You know, the issue of gas,
Yeah.
the shortage of gas or the price rise of that commodity is not only Nigeria. It's somewhat global phenomenon. It's a global problem right now. Let's say, for example, in the UK, they have been having gas shortage recently. A report says that between January this year and now, the price of gas in the UK has gone up by 250%. That's high. But there's a Bloomberg report that said just between August and now, today is September
23rd.
Yeah. Just between the beginning of August and now, the price of gas has risen by 70%.
Wow.
Yes.
That's high.
So the same situation is like a trend across the world. The price of gas is rising. Now, why is the price of gas rising? From analysis that I have heard and from my personal opinion, let's take, for example, the UK market. That market, the use of gas, it says in 2020 alone, they use gas to the tune of 38% of their demand for domestic heating. Then about 29% for electricity generation, and then 11% for industrial use. Now, if you look at the system there, over the past, let's say, let me not go to that. Let me not go to what has been happening recently, but let's take it from the beginning of the year. Economies are beginning to reopen, and so there is need for gas, and storage capacities have not been in tandem with the demand. And some analysts are saying that that is one reason why the price of gas has gone up higher, because you remember during the heat of COVID-19 in 2020, the price of gas, or the production of gas, went down, just as the production of crude oil was questionable. Then, besides the fact that the economies are reopening, this winter, the past winter, that was 2020 into 2021, we had a situation where actually there was serious cold, and because of that cold, there was much usage of gas, and so people seem to be storing gas right now against the coming winter. Then there is this suspicion also on Gazprom. You know, Gazprom is that Russian energy giant. Yeah, Gazprom. They are suspecting that Gazprom is trying to manipulate the price of gas as a kind of pressure they are trying to mount on Europe. Why so, or how so? We see that there's this pipeline that is they are running between Russia and Europe. They call it the Nord Stream 2 gas. Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. That pipeline, it has to under the completion of it, the signing of it of that project has to go through some regulatory hurdles. And those hurdles are going to take several months to overcome. And because of that, according to some analysts, Russia is trying to mount pressure on Europe to produce or to sign this document or to overcome those regulatory hurdles so that the pipeline will come on stream in good time. And that means profit for them also. So
Yes.
with that,
So
we can see that that is causing a kind of price rise or demand in Europe for Russia's gas. And because Russia, and that is why I want to link Nigeria, because Russia is trying to manipulate this price. Remember that the NLNG, according to what I have read, sells 48% of her gas to Europe, 41% to local consumers. The rest is fled.
yeah.
So,
Before you leave discussions on the international scene, I'll quickly come in here too that the Secretary General of OPEC brought in another perspective to the why the price of gas has really gone up in the international market.
yeah,
Is that the demand is increasing on account of the switch by the pressure on many countries to move to renewable energy.
Yes.
So now that is putting a lot more pressure on the
gas.
use of gas.
And you know, gas is clean energy.
Yes.
Relatively, yes. You
Yeah.
have a point there.
So that is also bringing up much more demand for gas in the international scene, and Nigeria being heavily dependent on imported gas. We have seen this reflected in the cost of cooking gas locally.
Yeah, don't forget also that Asia, some countries in Asia are out also in this market, jostling for the little of gas that is on sale or that is in supply on the international market. And so, because of this, we see that the price of gas generally, once the demand is high, the price will go high. Now, what link can we give it to what is happening in Nigeria. Let's take a short break. We'll come back. We'll link the trend, the international trend, to the local consequences, and we will discuss that and look at the way forward. Let's take a short break. Please stay with us.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it now is my very special pleasure and privilege to ask His Royal Majesty, the Sultan of Sokoto, the chairman or chairperson of the leadership group, to come forward and join me and hold on to one bit of this cloth so that we can jointly unveil the bigger, better, deeper le vogue.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back, listeners. We're discussing the persistent rise in price of gas and the marketer's perspective. We were discussing the issue here with, I was in the studio here with Anthony, and I remain your host, Keith Hammond. We are inviting a guest who is a marketer, and his name is Luwuye Shina. He's going to give a good perspective from the marketer's position. Luwuye, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
You look good. You look good.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you're looking very good as well, with the lady beside you.
Thank you very much, especially the lady here. So, Mr. Luwuye, you are aware of what we're discussing, and it's a pertinent issue because it is pinching Nigerians. You know, when a person's luxury is cut short, it doesn't matter so much. But when his necessities are cut short, then that is a matter. And of course, gas. Many people have stopped the use of kerosene and cooking wood and charcoal now, and they are embracing the use of gas. And so when gas becomes expensive or it's in short supply, you can understand that it pinches the consumption of food of ordinary Nigerians. My sister, my colleague here, she's a user of gas, and she was just at the beginning of the show expressing how the thing is pinching, and that reverberates across the country. So, Mr. Luwuye, what's going on? Why are we having shortage of gas? And I would like to put it to you that you are an accused person as a marketer. You are an accused person because NLN says they have supplied you adequately, but somehow you are not accepting that supply, and that sounds, I don't understand. It sounds unreasonable to me, and not only me, but I believe I am passing the information or the sentiment of most Nigerians. Yes. So why are you refusing
to take gas from
LPG price? Thank you very much.
Okay.
First of all, let me start by saying I'm not an LPG marketer, but I'm a stakeholder in the Nigerian oil and gas industry.
All
I'm
right.
the president of Pengasan, and I know the feelings of Nigeria. I know where the shoe pitches. And I'm
Very good.
also been in the oil industry for most part of my life. It is the oil industry, that is where I grew up. And that is where I became whatever I have become today. So from the upstream to the midstream to downstream, I know what is, I have some good knowledge of what is going on in the industry. First of all, let me start by saying that the problems Nigerians are facing today is not just about cooking gas. Tell me anything in Nigeria in the past 6 months that the price has not more than doubled. Even
I can tell you one.
tell me.
Recharge card.
Recharge card, you never can say whether it is moving faster, whether 1 minute is exactly 1 minute that you are paying for. And when you are talking and the data is cut so frequently these days, I pray that as we are having this discussion, we will not have any break in transmission at one point or the other. So invariably,
We are talking about bringing in shrinkonomics, where everything, the price is not going up, but the quantity is shrinking.
So to delve so deeply on the issue, almost everything in Nigerian market has gone up. I give you an example. You want to build a house, a price of per ton of iron rod 6 months ago was about 280,000 naira. The same iron rod today is going for 480,000 naira. Subframe for the window, I bought it 3 weeks ago for 4,000 naira per length. Today, it is costing 6,000 naira per length. Last year, VAT was 5%. Today, VAT on every product you consume is 7.5%. Cement, last year before COVID, was 2,300 naira per bag. At the time this year, it was up to 5,000 naira per bag. Today, it's 3,500 naira per bag. Airfare, Lagos, Abuja, was about 27,000 naira this time last year. Today, 1 hour flight, Lagos, Abuja, minimum best of time, 52,000 naira per hour for the 1 hour flight. So what am I trying to say here? Yes, the price of cooking gas has moved from 3,500 naira this time last year to 7,000 naira last year. Apart from the factors that you can trace to the oil industry or to that business itself, there are other factors that can be linked to the general inflation in the country. Now, to go to specific the oil and gas industry or LPG business, there is nobody feeling the pain more than the oil LPG marketers themselves. Because last year, an LPG marketer needs just about 4 million naira working capital to maintain a 20 metric ton plant. Today, he needs 10 million naira to sell the same commodity. And at the same time, his working capital has increased by over 100%. His margin has dropped by over 25%. So for 5 million naira he invested last year on 20 metric tons, his profit was probably about 150,000 naira. Today, for investing 10 million naira, his margin has dropped to 120,000 naira on 10 million naira. So you can see that we feel the pains more than Nigerians, everybody, but we also consume the products. I prefer to do a business that my working capital is 5 million naira for the same quantity of products I am trading in. than to need a working capital of 20 million naira for the same volume that I'm trading. So you can see that generally everybody, every Nigerians are suffering from the increase in the price of cooking gas in Nigeria. The only person that is happy and is richer, is going to the bank happier, is the government. The government of Nigeria has imposed 7.5% VAT on imported cooking gas, when they know very well the four major refineries held by federal government of Nigeria are comatose, are worse than being described as dead. The Dangote refinery that was planned to come on stream this year may not happen till best of time late 2022. And there is no assurance that that refinery, that company, will make available to domestic markets the cooking gas or the LPG that will be produced by Dangote refinery. So I stop there.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Luwuye. You've given a real insight into what's happening. But I would like to ask, how can Nigeria tackle the high dependence on importation of LPG? It's really disheartening that a country where we have a huge reserve of gas, we are still up to close to 60% dependent on the imported product. How can Nigeria tackle this issue to bring a relief to the price of gas locally?
Yeah, the pace that we feel today is not only because of any poor leadership today. It's an outcome of all our collective efforts, dues, or what we have failed to do for many years. That's what's manifesting today in all spheres of Nigerian life, be it political, education, whatsoever. When you bring tout to acquire leadership today, when that government comes into power 2, 3, 4 years later, you get to feel the impact. When you don't train people very well in primary school today, 5 years down the line, you're going to have poor children in secondary school. 5 years after, you're going to have bad graduates coming out of the universities. 10 years down the line, you're going to have poor people in managing various companies and organizations in the country. Now, the problem we're having in cooking gas today is because of our poor planning or what we failed to do in the last 10 years. And to correct it, we must start to do things very well from today that will bring results in 5, 10 years' time. And what do I mean by that? Our refineries are comatose. We all know that the refineries are not working in the past 10 years. If anybody is telling you they produce any quantity of petrol or cooking gas in any of the refineries in the last 10 years, tell him there is no other way to look for a liar. Now, to correct this, there's no doubt about it. Nigeria must embrace the regulation. Government has no business being in business. A businessman's duty is not to collect taxes, it's to make profits. Organizations that employ machineries and capital and human beings is not for government to run. It's for entrepreneurs to run. Government is not part of it. So I will start from that. First of all, we must regulate. It's the only way we can bring the cooking gas that can make the refineries to produce cooking gas. Because as long as government is running, let me finish. As long as government is running the refineries, you will never get the cooking gas that we will have derived from those 4 refineries. Second one, the NLNG currently is producing 450,000 metric tons of cooking gas to Nigerian markets. The government is doing very well there, thanks to President Muhammad Buhari, who has made it possible for Train 7 of LNG to come on stream. And very soon, the next 3 to 4 years, that should fully come on stream. But that is not what we are talking about. Because if you want immediate solution, that's not possible. So that volume that Train 7 will bring, the protein that Train 7 will bring on board, will only come to market minimum 3 years' time. So we believe that with Train 7, we may be able to unlock another 400 to 500,000 metric tons of butane from that trains. Then we have the Dangote refinery coming up stream. We must also compare Dangote to sell the cooking gas that we generated from that place to prioritize domestic market. Dangote is a friend of any government in the country. If you allow him to sell it to the in the international markets and prioritize dollar receipts over naira receipts, then it's not going to change the dynamics that we have now. It's not going to be beneficial to Nigeria. Therefore, we must compel him. The framework agreements that the federal government or the NNPC is having with Dangote, that is excellent. And I commend the GMD for that initiative. But part of it was to prioritize domestic supply from that refinery over dollar receipts that the refinery or the proprietors might be going after. So that is very important. Another thing is that we must deepen the availability of cooking gas in hinterlands, not just in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja. Therefore, the current regulations of DPR must be flexible. There must be flexibility to allow people to have access to cooking gas in the far remote areas where they don't currently available. Then, far most important that the operators are clamoring for is the removal of VAT on imported cooking LPG for now. At least there must be 2 to 3 years moratorium for removal of VAT on cooking gas.
Mr. Luwuye, thank you very much. You have largely given us a long-term solution to the problem we face. I would like to tackle you on a short-term solution because right now Nigerians are feeling the pinch. Just before you came on board, we were discussing that the issue of gas price is not only in Nigeria. We gave examples of how the UK has been having higher demand in recent times, Asia, and a host of other countries. We blamed it on the research or reopening of economies. We blamed it on the Russian giant Gazprom trying to manipulate prices and a number of other things. Of course, the gas turbines in the UK also, which there are 11,000 of them. Because of calm weather in recent times, they have not been producing enough electricity. So there has been demand for gas to get those industries running. And we were trying to link, I promised our listeners that I would tell them that there is a link between the price in the UK or the rest of Europe and including Asia and what is going on in Nigeria. I say so because, as I was saying, 48% of Nigeria's gas is exported to Europe from the report I've read, and 41% is distributed locally. Now, with that demand and the higher price, of course, where your product is, where consumers are willing to pay higher price for your product, you prefer to sell to them than to sell to the local market where the price of gas is very low. So My suspicion was that, and my suspicion still is, that the NLNG has reduced Nigeria's demand to supply Europe because there is higher price. But then moreover, Europe, where we import gas from also, the price of gas there is higher. So we are in a catch-22 situation. We're in a vicious cycle, in my opinion. If what my opinion is reflective of reality, what is the solution? What is the short-term solution? Because you have given a long-term solution, which we highly appreciate. What's the short-term solution? So that my colleague here will go to the market smiling. Mr. Luwuye, are you there? Mr. Luwuye.
Sorry, please. I told you before we started. I just pray that the network is good all around.
That is shrinkonomics. So, Mr. Luwuye, did you get my question?
Yeah, can you quickly summarize it for me?
What we're saying is
for the
what is the short-term solution? Because we export gas to Europe, and as I said, my suspicion is the NLNG is reducing Nigeria's supply to that market where they will pay higher price. And then we also import from that market, the European market, where gas is also higher. So we are in a vicious cycle, a catch-22 situation. What is the immediate solution?
Now, first of all, why I'm not a spokesperson for LLNG, but let me correct the impression out there that the products that LLNG sells abroad denies the domestic market availability, what would have been available to the domestic market. That notion is very, very wrong. The product that LLNG sells abroad is very different from the LPG that we are consuming locally.
Thanks for that impression.
We are consuming butane. But what is sold abroad, there are other chains of natural gas derivatives that is used for different purposes. So what is sold abroad is what is used for to cool the houses, to warm the houses, to run the power plants and other things there. So it's not the same production butane that we consume. Right now,
my apologies.
To the best of my knowledge, hold on, sir, they sell 100% of the butane produced in Nigeria in the NLNG trains 1 to 6 is sold in the Nigerian market.
Okay.
Now, going straight to the question of what can we do in the short time? I am not an advocate or a supporter of government intervention in any form in business, in forms of subsidy, in forms of giving rent to somebody to do anything. That has never worked, and it can never work, because you only create rents and grafts in the process of trying to do that intervention. But if you apply macroeconomic intervention, yeah, that is better. But there are two major factors. One is international price of crude oil, but that is not going to be high forever. It is getting to the time that the northern hemisphere is very cold and they consume more. And by the time you are coming out of winter in January to spring, by February, you see the price going down as well. So the price has gotten to the peak now. But by December, February, you start to see the price going down, taking another curve. So I want to be hopeful. I want to be optimistic, because the deregulated products this product that is selling for 7,000 naira for 12.5 kg today, you may be surprised. You'll be begging people to buy it for 3,500 by January.
We pray for that time.
Yeah, well, I can assure you it's going to happen cyclical. Then the other one is we could advocate that government should give importers of LPG maybe a sort of forex window for them to buy at official market. Then I'm not an advocate of that. I will not support that, because what will happen? You might be surprised that today the total demand for LPG supply in Nigeria is maybe $5-10 million a month. The moment you do that kind of a thing, it will jump to $100 million per month.
Sure.
So, for Nigeria, I'm not advocating for that. The other thing I can advocate is for government to remove the VAT. By removing the VAT from imported products, you will be able to shave as much as 10 to 12% of the current price of cooking gas. Another thing that government has introduced is PPPRA levy on LPG. I don't want to comment so much about that because there's a case between NLPGA and the PPPRA currently in court over that to challenge the legitimacy of that charge. But I must say that charge or tax is part of the reasons for the increase in the price of cooking gas in Nigeria today.
All right, Mr. Luwuye, Mr. Luwuye, we are
so
very
much.
grateful. You have opened our eyes to some of the realities. Mr. Luwuye, would you mind coming to the studio some other time to enlighten our listeners more on this issue of gas?
Well, one of my values in life is patriotism. You cannot wish for a better Nigeria if you are not patriotic. Any contribution I can make to the discourse or conversation that can make Nigeria better, that can enlighten Nigerians, I'm very supportive and I will happily take part in it.
All right.
Thank you so
very
much. It's been a delight having you today.
It's our pleasure having you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us, listeners. Also, we thank you to our producers. Thanks for being here. I've been your host, Case Hammond. Please be with us the next round of our energy focus on Money Radio. And of course, other editions of other segments of Money Radio during the week. We invite you to continue to be with us, to be enlightened, because that's the purpose of this platform. Thanks, and stay good.
Bye.
Thank you.